I'd spent 5 years trying to win Anna Vance over. If she said yes to my proposal on her birthday, I could stay in this world. But today, the one that got away came back, and she'd been with him the whole time. After all my effort, the system decided to grant me one request. I could choose how I died. Since I had to leave sooner or later, I decided I would die in front of Anna, at her own hands. I wanted her to live with the regret for the rest of her life. 5 minutes until midnight. Today was my 25th birthday, the final deadline. If Anna accepted my proposal today, I could stay. We had a deal. But from noon until now, every call to Anna went straight to voicemail. Maybe something came up. But what could it be? Not long ago, she was resting her head on my lap, promising me, "Noah, when are you going to marry me? I only ever want to be your bride." According to the rules, if Anna didn't come back by the end of the day, the system would erase me. Maybe I looked pathetic, constantly checking my watch. With only a few minutes left, the system finally spoke, its usually cold, mechanical voice tinged with something like indignation. "Host, stop waiting. She's not coming. Leo returned to the country today. She's been with him. They're at the hospital now." Leo was Anna's first love, her childhood sweetheart. He had a congenital heart defect and had always been frail. His parents sent him to the East Coast for treatment in high school, and he'd been gone ever since. I rubbed my temples, feeling a wave of exhaustion. "Is he cured?" "No," the system explained. "But there's a new experimental treatment available here in Seattle, so he probably won't be leaving again." Oh, that made sense. Now that the person she truly loved was back, there was no reason to keep stringing me along. Just then, the midnight alarm on my phone went off. I closed my eyes, waiting for the feeling of my soul being ripped away. But a minute passed, and nothing happened. I opened my eyes. I was still in my familiar apartment. Why am I still here? "I submitted an application for you. Your stay in this world has been extended by 24 hours. During this time, you can choose your method of death." It didn't sound particularly exciting, but I had nothing better to do. I actually started discussing it with the system, planning a dramatic exit for tomorrow. Arson, a leap from a skyscraper, drowning. Ever since that evening, the system's voice had become unusually gentle. "You're just leaving this current world, that's all, and I'll remove any sensation of pain." I grunted in acknowledgement and casually opened my phone, scrolling through my Facebook feed one last time. A new post from one of Anna's best friends popped up, a photo of a sports car with a 2-line caption. "Been a while since I've seen him tear up downtown like this." The power of a first love is something else. The Vance family was deeply rooted, their corporation spanning the country. Anna grew up with a silver spoon, wanting for nothing. Her friends were all from similar backgrounds, throwing money around at luxury shops like it was nothing, collecting expensive watches and cars. For a thrill, a few of them had even started a club dedicated to extreme sports like racing, surfing, and skydiving. Since she'd been with me, Anna had mostly stopped participating. She'd still go street racing in the mountains sometimes, until a few years ago when she crashed into a guardrail. She was covered in blood and spent half a month in the hospital. Her grandfather read her the riot act, and she finally quit. "He's racing again?" I asked the system, confused. "Not racing. Leo had a sudden heart episode. She was rushing him to the hospital. She ran several red lights and was speeding excessively." "This is downtown Seattle." I frowned. If something happened, it wouldn't just be her getting hurt. She could drag innocent people into it. A few minutes later, comments from our mutual friends started appearing under the post. "Is she insane? Wasn't she supposed to be getting ready to be Noah's wife? What the hell is she doing street racing? Dude, update your info. Leo's back. There's no way Anna's marrying Noah now. Watch your mouth." But proposal aside, racing downtown is incredibly dangerous. What if she hit someone? Guess she forgot the time her grandpa threatened to cut her off completely. She's already speeding like a maniac. That girl never learns. I sighed. "All right, that's it. System," I said, "where's Anna right now?" She dropped Leo off at the hospital and is now rushing to get his prescription filled. Good. I've figured out how I want to leave this world. I twirl the keys in my hand. Instead of her hitting some random person, I want to see the look on her face when she realizes she personally pushed me into the abyss for her precious first love. Anna wasn't far from me, according to the system. It took me a moment to realize why, and then I laughed at my own foolishness. It was because the largest specialty compounding pharmacy in the entire Pacific Northwest was near my condo, a place where you could find rare or limited medications. I remembered when I used to have stomach problems, Anna would get up in the middle of the night, throw on a coat, and go buy medicine for me. Then she'd stay up all night, sitting on a small stool in the kitchen, fanning the pot as it simmered. That's how she was. When she cared about someone, she held them in the palm of her hand, constantly thinking about them, terrified they might suffer the slightest discomfort. It was because we had been so close that the absence of her love was now so painfully obvious. The system asked if I want to go see. I nodded. Of course. This is the final goodbye. There was only one main road to the pharmacy. I put on my coat, left the building, and walked to a T-junction she had to pass through. It was about 8 or 9 at night. Winter nights in Seattle came early, and the sky was already a deep, dark canvas. The streetlights behind me cast a dim, yellow glow. As I stood there, a few moths fluttered past my eyes. For a moment, I hesitated. Did I really want to go through with this? There were only 3 or 4 hours left until midnight. I could use that time to watch a movie, listen to my favorite songs, or walk along Alki Beach and collect some shells. Any of those would be a final, precious memory of my time in this world. Noah. It was the system. For the first time, it used my name instead of host. I answered, then instinctively looked up. Blinding lights. A silver sports car was speeding toward me. It was Anna's car. Are you sure about this? Because I saw a little girl with a backpack just about to cross the street. The glare was intense. It took me a few seconds to notice her. She had a ponytail and was wearing the uniform of a nearby elementary school, probably 1st or 2nd grade. She was small, wearing oversized headphones, looking down at her phone, texting someone with a smile on her face, completely oblivious to her surroundings. Even if Anna saw the child, at her current speed, she wouldn't be able to stop in time. The immense inertia would send the girl flying, with horrific consequences. In that instant, without a second thought, I lunged forward. I heard a scream. The little girl in the school uniform must have been pushed out of the way by me. She fell, scrambled forward a few steps, then got up and turned around. Mister, help! There's so much blood. Someone's been hit. The system didn't lie. It had removed all my pain. So, when the car ran over me, I didn't feel much of anything, just heard a series of strange impact sounds and the cracking of bones. It wasn't a pleasant sensation, but thankfully, the system quickly separated my consciousness from my physical body. I floated in the air, looking down at the scene below. The girl was terrified, her hands trembling as she fumbled for her phone to call 911. I suddenly felt like what I did was worth it. I was going to die anyway, and I got to save a life. Anna, in the driver's seat, must have realized something was wrong. She slammed on the brakes, the sports car skidding for another 100 feet before finally stopping. What happened? I don't know if it was because I was no longer bound to a body, but I could clearly hear her words through the closed car door and window. She had a dazed expression, one hand on the door handle, whispering to herself, "Did I hit someone? No way. That's impossible." She didn't even see me dive in front of her car. I shook my head with a bitter smile, morbidly curious to see her reaction when she got out and saw me lying on the ground. But in the next second, my hopes were dashed. Her phone rang inside the car. It was Leo, his voice sounding weak. "Anna, when are you coming back? I feel awful." The system informed me that Leo had returned to the States to try a course of holistic, compounded medicine to supplement his treatment. He had just undergone a procedure and had a consultation with his cardiologist yesterday. The hospital gave him a long list of instructions and medications, a few of which were critical. Luckily, the city had one of the best compounding pharmacies in the country, so Anna had been racing across town to get them. The doctor said it would be best if he could start the medication today. Combined with his recent surgery, the first course of treatment would be more effective. Getting from here to the pharmacy, having the prescription filled, and then rushing back to the hospital, not to mention the time needed to prepare the medicine, meant that 3 hours was a very tight schedule. Anna's hand, which had been on the door handle, trembled and then dropped. "Anna, You're coming back, right? Of course. She put her hands back on the steering wheel, her voice gentle as she promised into the phone, Leo, don't worry. You'll get your medicine on time. She didn't even get out to look. She hit someone. If before it could have been argued as an accident, this was now a blatant crime. I took a deep breath and let it out slowly, staring intently at Anna in the car, wanting to slap her. But I could do nothing but watch as she hit the gas and drove away, as if it had all been a bad dream. I thought I would be left behind, but to my surprise, my consciousness was now in the passenger seat of the sports car, following her. Since I was no longer tied to a physical body, it would be more interesting to see what else she was capable of. The system, probably sensing my confusion, spoke up, its tone for the first time openly sarcastic. She really gets on my nerves. I couldn't help but chuckle. I'm starting to think this wasn't worth it. I sighed. There were still a few hours left in the day, and now they're gone. After a moment, the system replied, the original parameters stated that if you had been taken to the hospital within these few hours, there was a chance you could have been saved. If you woke up, your consciousness could have returned. I didn't say anything, taking a moment to process what that meant. I instinctively looked back. In the dark night, the body lying in the middle of the road was no longer visible. It still had vital signs, I thought. My train of thought was interrupted by Anna. She picked up her phone and called someone else. Jessica, I've got a situation. Can you check something for me? On the T-junction past Pike Place. I was texting and wasn't watching the road, and I think I might have hit something. I hear some noise a few hundred feet back. Sounds like crying, but I could be wrong. Can you go take a look? See if someone's hurt, take them to the hospital, and pay for everything. I'd heard the name Jessica before. She was some kind of distant cousin of Anna's. Anna's parents had divorced when she was young, and a few months later, her father remarried a woman who was already pregnant with his son. Because of this, Anna had been rebellious as a teenager, getting into trouble and hanging out with the wrong crowd. Jessica was one of them. She never went to college and started working early. While she wasn't book smart, she had high emotional intelligence and a vast, shady network of contacts. At one point, Anna even put her in charge of a small subsidiary company. I frowned. Are they still in touch? I thought Anna cut ties with her. During the few months Jessica was managing that subsidiary, I accidentally discovered that the company's cash flow was highly irregular, seemingly involved in some illicit business. After I exposed it, she was fired. Jessica never forgave me for that. The day she left, she pointed her finger in my face and said, Noah, don't think you're so great just because you're Anna's boyfriend. She doesn't even like you. She'll dump you sooner or later. And when you die, who's going to be there to even claim your body? How ironic. At the time, I thought it was just angry nonsense. I never imagined it would become a prophecy that this uneducated hustler would be the one to deal with my body. Host, maybe she'll take you to the hospital, the system offered, trying to comfort me. I shook my head. I just hate that I was so blind. She was entangled with her childhood sweetheart and friends with a malicious and scrupulous person, and I still held out a sliver of hope for her. I was such a fool. Anna didn't seem to grasp the severity of the situation, or perhaps the little girl's cries had given her the false impression that whoever she hit had just gotten up and yelled a bit. So she continued her instructions. Get them a checkup at the hospital. We'll cover all the expenses. Call me when it's done. Should I applaud you for being such a great humanitarian? I rolled my eyes so hard they nearly got stuck. I didn't want to listen anymore. I tilted my head back, closed my eyes, and let my mind go blank. In my current state, I could still fall asleep, though it was only for a couple of hours. Anna was remarkably efficient. She got the prescription filled and returned to the hospital, handing the package to the attending physician. There's still time, right? She asked anxiously. It's not midnight yet. If we prepare it now, and he takes it, Leo's condition should improve, right? What midnight? This isn't an exam or a race. Why are you on a deadline? The doctor shot her a look. I just had to get the medicine as soon as you could, not that you had to get it today. He's been dealing with this for years. Do you really think one day, without a new medication, is going to make a difference? The doctor's tone was like he was talking to a complete idiot. I had been yawning in the background, but this snapped me awake, and I let out a snort of laughter. He was right. I'd heard of critical patients in the ICU being on a clock, but never for picking up a prescription. Anna, having been coddled her whole life, was rarely spoken to like that. Her face darkened. After a moment, she finally started walking toward the inpatient wing. She gently pushed open the door to the room. Hearing the sound, the man sitting on the bed looked up. He was wearing a blue hospital gown, his skin pale, his face thin. Anna, you're back. I realized this was the first time I was seeing Leo in person. I'd seen him in photos, of course. In Anna's middle school yearbook, in a thick stack of photo albums from her childhood, even in a folder on her phone marked with a pink heart. The boy in the photos was a teenager. The Leo before me was much more mature. He flipped through a magazine, seemingly mentioning casually, "Did you get the medicine?" Anna gave a curt reply and sat in the chair by the bed. Her cold demeanor must have caught Leo off guard. He reached out, his hand brushing her arm as if by accident. "What's wrong?" "Tired." Anna remained silent, pulling out her phone and starting to scroll. I tilted my head. Strange. Just a little while ago, she was a speed demon tearing through the city. Why the cold, aloof act now? The atmosphere in the room became awkward. Finally, Leo finished the last page of the magazine. He placed it on the nightstand and tried again. I'm practically a walking pharmacy at this point. I can't live without all these bottles and pills. Anna finally looked up. "Really?" she interrupted him. "Because I just spoke with the doctor. He said your condition has been quite stable, and it wouldn't have made much difference when you started the new medication." "Leo, you knew, didn't you? I had something very important yesterday." Anna's voice was unusually low and serious. The night seeped in through the window, and the fluorescent light on the ceiling cast a pale, bleak glow. Half of her was shrouded in shadow, making it impossible to read her expression. Leo's lips moved. "Why are you suddenly bringing this up?" He raised his voice. "I know. Your boyfriend was going to propose to you. Anna's getting married, so of course she doesn't need her big brother who grew up with her anymore. Is that it? Fine. Even if you're deeply in love with him, a whole day has passed. Has he even contacted you? You psycho, I thought. She was the one who stood me up, not the other way around. I waited for her in the condo for hours, enduring the pitying looks of all our friends. Why would I be the one to chase after her?" But Anna seemed genuinely taken aback by his words. She looked down, her lips pressed into a thin line, her left hand gripping her phone tightly. Leo kept talking. "See? He doesn't value you that much. Someone who loves you would have called to check on you by now. Someone who doesn't love you wouldn't care at all. Maybe he's glad you didn't accept his proposal. Maybe he's found someone better. He could be off with some other woman right now." "Anna, don't get in too deep." "Stop it." Anna shot up from her chair. She let out a long breath, a look of annoyance on her face. "You get some rest. I'm going to sit outside for a bit." She stumbled slightly, then steadied herself, grabbed her coat, and walked out of the room. I drifted after her. Anna looked dejected, leaning against the wall and scrolling through her phone again. I curiously floated closer and saw that it was our last iMessage conversation before the proposal. I had asked her if she was nervous or excited. She had sent back a flurry of messages. "Of course I'm nervous, you dummy, but I'm more excited. And then we have to plan the wedding. Ugh, I love you so much. I can't sleep." I glanced at Anna, wondering if she had meant any of those words. The sentences felt like an intangible dream. Anna's fingers hovered over the text box. She typed a few words, then deleted them. After several attempts, she finally typed out a full sentence. "Noah, are you mad? Why haven't you called me? Something came up yesterday. I'll make it up to you, okay?" I scoffed. An apology this late is worthless. But before she could send a message, her phone rang. It was my best friend, Sam. We hadn't seen each other since the disastrous non-proposal. His voice on the phone was urgent and furious. "Anna, where the hell is Noah? I can't get a hold of him. If anything happens to him, we won't let you get away with it." Anna's brow furrowed. "Noah's missing," she repeated. "But I haven't seen him in the last 2 days." "You have the nerve to say that. Sam was on the debate team in college, even competed nationally and appeared on a few TV shows. He was now a moderately famous influencer in his field." His tone grew more aggressive. "You haven't seen him? Aren't you two supposed to be all lovey-dovey right now? Meeting parents or planning a trip? Oh, right, I forgot. You were with your childhood sweetheart turned side piece. How could you possibly remember Noah?" This is disgusting. Being yelled at like that. Anna clenched her phone. She took a few deep breaths, her own tone becoming hostile. I don't want to fight with you. But Noah hasn't called me either. I was going to ask if he was with you. She probably remembered what Leo had said in the room, because she added, if he really cared about the proposal, would he have gone this long without even a single angry text? Anna, are you fucking stupid? Sam usually preferred a more sarcastic, witty style of insult. He must have been seriously pissed to resort to straight-up cursing. But he was cut off before he could finish. Anna had hung up. I looked at her with a bit of pity. So young and already so dumb. Is this an early sign of dementia? She sat on a hospital bench, slowly slumping forward. Her phone screen was still on our chat history. Her finger hovered over the text box for a moment. Then, as if in a fit of pique, she deleted the message she had just typed, one character at a time. I let out a small laugh. Did she really think I was still alive, and that I'd be heartbroken and jealous that she was with Leo? Anna leaned back against the wall, pulled her coat tighter, and closed her eyes. She must have been exhausted, because she quickly fell asleep. It was past midnight now. My extended 24 hours were up. I called the system again. By now, I should be completely gone, right? Can you see what Jessica did with my body? I don't trust a hustler like her to have actually taken me to a hospital. The question had been weighing on me like a stone. The system, being from a higher dimension, didn't just answer. It pulled up a screen, showing me everything that happened next. The little girl I saved must have called her parents. They arrived a few minutes later. I thought they would wait for the police, but they just took their daughter and left. I waited patiently. Next, Jessica's car, an expensive-looking sedan, pulled up to the intersection. She got out and quickly found my abandoned body. Damn, Anna really made a mess this time. She seemed to treat it as a minor inconvenience, strolling over and crouching down to roll my body over. For a moment, she just stayed there, frozen. I thought the system's playback had glitched. But then I heard her shocked cry. Noah? It's Noah. Who would believe it? The lover who had been promised forever just days ago was now lying here, possibly dead, at the hands of the other. How is this possible? Didn't Anna want to marry him? What was all that talk about growing old together? Jessica was still muttering, pulling out her phone as if to call Anna for confirmation. Just then, my hand twitched, my fingers brushing against her high heel. The system's voice quickly interjected, it's just a neurological reflex before death, muscle spasms caused by brain failure. It was a tiny movement, but made Jessica jump back as if she'd been electrocuted, nearly falling over. He's not dead. Noah's not dead. She reached out and felt for my pulse. The faint beat made her breath catch, confirming the situation. For a second, I was curious. What would she do with a critically injured, unconscious person? Would she leave him, or would she offer a helping hand? I quickly realized I couldn't expect much from someone with no moral compass. Not only did Jessica not take me to the hospital, but the hand she placed on my neck began to tighten, squeezing harder and harder. The image was so vivid, so real, that it felt like the air was being squeezed from my own lungs. I coughed, a phantom reflex. I just got her kicked out of company. She hates me that much. The system cut the playback. Yes, it sighed along with me. So, you were never taken to the hospital. You never received treatment. And so Noah died. I knew. It looked like I died at Jessica's hands, but the root cause was Anna. She was the one who missed the proposal. She was the one who hit me with her car. And she was the one who called Jessica. I looked at the young woman, slumped on the hallway bench. Her brow was furrowed, her sleep troubled. She was murmuring something. I leaned closer and heard my name. Noah, don't be mad. Can we have another proposal? Even the system made a disgusted sound. Who was she trying to fool? Exactly. If she was so concerned, how could she be sleeping so soundly? Maybe my silent cursing had some effect. A few hours later, just as the sky was beginning to lighten, Anna's phone rang again, the sound piercing the quiet hospital corridor. She shot up, answering the call. Noah? Are you home? Of course it wasn't me. It was one of her childhood friends. Noah? Forget Noah. Check Twitter. Sam put you on blast. You're trending. The trending topic was a single line. Heiress of prominent family ghosts fiancé, leaving his whereabouts unknown. I read it a few times. That didn't sound like Sam's work. The post on Sam's own Twitter account was more direct. Friend's heartbroken by cheating fiancé and her side piece. He's now missing. Police have been notified, but he's still unreachable. We're all worried for his safety. Below was a picture of the Vance Corporation's headquarters, a landmark in the city center. It was as good as naming her directly. The post blew up. Sam's followers, random onlookers, and even trolls hired by the Vance Corporation's business rivals flooded the comments. Call the cops. What's a trial by social media going to do? Find the guy first. It says they already called the cops. Can't you read? This Vance girl is such trash. Ghosting someone at their own proposal? Anyone would be depressed after that. Maybe we should all boycott Vance products from now on. Sam had millions of followers, and Anna was already a minor celebrity in her own right. The tweet gained more and more traction. People started tagging the official accounts of the Seattle Police Department and the courts. Missing person, please investigate. With things escalating like this, Anna couldn't just sit there. She tossed her coat aside and stood up, heading for the exit. In the elevator, she got a call. The screen read, Dad. Anna's relationship with her father was terrible. After he remarried, she barely spoke at home. Her position at the company was almost entirely due to the shares her mother had left her. The moment she answered, the small space was filled with a torrent of abuse. Have you seen what they're saying about our company online? I raised you all these years. Don't you have any sense of responsibility? Don't think you're untouchable just because of your mother's stock. I can still rally the board and kick you out. I'm bringing your brother into the company in a few days. Fine, Anna snapped, cutting him off with a cold laugh. Isn't that what you've wanted all along? It's just a bunch of nonsense online. Noah would never leave me. We just had a fight. Just as she said that, the elevator doors opened. A group of uniformed police officers was standing outside. Anna Vance. The officer in front held up his badge. Last night, you were involved in a high-speed collision where you struck a young man. You then fled the scene. The victim did not survive. Finally, I checked the time. It was just past 7 in the morning. I had to hand it to them. The SPD worked fast. Anna shook her head, her face turning deathly pale. Hit and run, causing a death? But I called someone to handle it. She took a step forward, trying to project an air of confidence. That makes you an accomplice. The next moment, an officer had her by the wrist. Do you have any questions? We also need you to identify the body. Anna didn't seem to register why the police would need the perpetrator to identify the victim's body. She just kept arguing, protesting her innocence, all the way to the police station's morgue. Can't we settle this? She asked. Give me the family's contact information. I'm sure we can agree on a number they won't refuse. The officer scoffed. Unfortunately, our investigation shows the young man's parents passed away long ago. He had a lot of friends, though, and a fiancé, but she disappeared on the day of the proposal to be with someone else. Anna frowned, as if a thought had occurred to her. She opened her mouth, but said nothing, just followed them step by step to a long table in the corner. It seemed that only now did she remember something. She looked up at the officer. What's the point of me identifying the body? I didn't see anything clearly, and even if I did, I wouldn't know him. How could you not know him? The officer said, rolling his eyes. Weren't you the one posting on social media just a few days ago about getting engaged? I watched the absurd drama unfold from a distance. On the silver metal table lay my body, covered by a sheet, only a vague outline visible. What do you mean? Anna's throat moved, her voice dry and forced. What are you trying to say? Her hand, which had been hovering over the white sheet, began to tremble. It hung there in the air, unable to bring itself to pull back the cloth. The officer, who had been writing in his notebook, looked up. Seeing her still frozen, he lost his patience and reached out himself, whipping the sheet away. This is the person you hit last night at the T-junction near Pike Place while driving at excessive speeds. Have you seen him before? Do you know him? Do you know who this is? Looking at the still, bloodless face of Noah lying there, I felt for the first time the stark reality of it. I was really dead. A broken, battered corpse. These extra hours were just a loan from the system. I glanced at Anna. No, she screamed, covering her face, unable to look. How could it be Noah? Are you saying that I hit? I hit. Her voice trailed off, the last words left unspoken. There's security footage from the intersection, and we've contacted the witness. It was you, in your sports car, driving at a speed far exceeding the limit, who ran over the man who was supposed to become your husband. Jessica had been arrested too, of course. I had still been breathing when she found me. She was the one who choked the life out of me, then dumped my body in a patch of weeds, leaving me to die slowly, alone. When Anna heard this, she staggered back. All the strength seemed to drain from her. She reached out to steady herself on the edge of the table, but her hand slipped, and she collapsed to her knees beside my body. It was true. I could have been saved. If only she had stopped the car and taken me to the hospital immediately. But what did she do? She called a low-life criminal and then rushed off to get medicine for her childhood love. Medicine that didn't even matter if he took it that day or the next. No, how ridiculous. She still had the nerve to call my name. Anna raised a hand, as if to touch my face. I don't know how I could have done that to you. She wanted to apologize, but I just felt disgusted. I didn't want her to have anything to do with me ever again. Thankfully, at that moment, the door was kicked open. My friends had arrived. Sam was at the front. He'd known me for years, and after his viral tweet, it was no surprise the police had contacted him. "Anna," he yelled, rushing forward and slapping her hand away. "You're disgusting. Don't you dare touch him." Usually, when these two met, the air was thick with tension, either cold silence or a shouting match. This time, Sam used all his strength, his hand swinging back to slap her across the face before the police could pull him away. Anna just stood there, motionless. "You vile, shameless, goddamn murderer. What about that side piece of yours, who's just as rotten as you are? Would you have died if you didn't see him for one day? But Noah is dead because of you. Do you have a conscience? You should be rotting in the deepest level of hell right now." By the end, Sam's voice was choked with sobs. He ignored the officers holding him back, tried to lunge for Anna's throat. Anna looked down, her voice low. "Yes, I should pay for it with my life." "Your life?" Sam's hand, which had been raised, slowly fell. He stared at her with hatred. "You don't get to die that easily. I'm going to hire the best legal team to make sure you get life without parole. And I'll make sure you have the most violent, ruthless cellmates imaginable, so you can suffer for the rest of your miserable life." After it was all over, the system and I had another long talk. It asked if I wanted to return to my original world. My feelings about the real world weren't great. I had parents, but my father was an alcoholic gambler who was often violent, and my mother was a doormat. One time, my father owed a huge sum to some loan shark. The guy showed up at our door with a huge axe, ready to use it. In that moment, my mother fell to her knees. Don't hurt my husband. We don't have money, but you can take our son." I stared at my mother, feeling like I was seeing her for the first time. When she tried to grab me, I shook her off and jumped from the 7th floor window. I don't remember the end. It probably hurt a lot. I really didn't want to go back. The system paused, as if searching its database. I thought for a moment, can you give me a new identity? In this world, apart from Anna, I'm going to miss my friends. After some persistent begging, the system petitioned its superiors and actually designed a new identity for me, allowing me to stay in the world where Noah had lived. Since my major in college had been journalism, my new profession was a reporter. On my first day at the newspaper, people bustled around me with coffee mugs. Just as I thought I was going to be ignored, my editor walked up to my desk and slapped down a stack of papers. "You're the new guy. You know what the biggest story is right now. Read up. You're going to be busy." I picked up the newspaper. The bold headline jumped out at me. "Anna Vance likely to face life sentence. Vance Corp. Under investigation for tax evasion and money laundering. Stock halted. Patriarch denounces daughter in media. Declares younger son as sole heir." I frowned, reading through the articles. I learned that the reason Jessica hated me so much was that the small subsidiary she had been running was a front for Anna's less-than-legal business dealings. In just 6 months, it had made more than 10 times its normal profit, but I had ruined it all and gotten her fired. Leo's situation wasn't good either. The Vance family had been funding a large portion of his medical expenses. With Anna in prison and the family in turmoil, His surgery and medications were delayed, and his condition had genuinely worsened. It wasn't just the papers. The internet was filled with outrage against the Vance family. People wanted them bankrupt, and they wanted blood. Why is a scumbag like that still alive? She's wasting air. Killed her own fiancé and laundered money? Throw the book at her. After scrolling through Twitter for a while, my head was spinning. My editor walked by and glanced at me. Got the gist of it. I nodded. Then a thought occurred to me. The lawyer prosecuting Anna. You thought of that? My editor actually smiled.